Mia and Alex were best friends, bonded over countless hours spent together in front of a PlayStation console, battling digital monsters, solving puzzles, and escaping from virtual danger. Tonight, they were in the middle of an intense gaming session in Mia's living room when their stomachs began to grumble. "Okay, I give up. I'm starving," Mia said, tossing her controller aside. "Me too," Alex replied, his eyes still glued to the screen as their game character was defeated by a final boss. "How about we hit the night store? It's just a few blocks away." Mia nodded. "Sounds good. Let's grab some snacks and drinks." They put game controller in the couch and headed out into the cool night air. The town was quiet, with only the distant hum of traffic and the occasional bark of a dog breaking the silence. They walked briskly, laughing and chatting about their latest game strategies. As they approached the night store, they didn't notice the van parked discreetly in the shadows of a nearby alley. The van's windows were dark, and inside sat a figure watching their every move. "Hey, do you want chips or chocolate?" Alex asked as they entered the store. "Both, obviously," Mia replied with a grin, grabbing a bag of chips and a couple of candy bars. They paid for their items and stepped back out into the night, their arms loaded with snacks. As they started to walk back, a chill ran down Mia's spine. She felt as though they were being watched. "Alex, do you feel that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Feel what?" Alex replied, oblivious. "Like we're not alone." Alex laughed it off, but as they turned down a dimly lit alleyway to take a shortcut home, they heard the distinct sound of footsteps behind them. They quickened their pace, their laughter fading into nervous silence. Suddenly, a man stepped out from behind a dumpster, blocking their path. His face was partially obscured by a hood, but his menacing glare was unmistakable. "Hand over your wallets and phones," he demanded, pulling out a knife. Mia and Alex froze, their eyes wide with fear. "Do as he says," Mia whispered, her voice shaking. As Alex began to reach into his pocket, a haunting melody filled the alley. It was soft at first, but grew louder, echoing off the walls. The man with the knife looked around, confused and unnerved. "What the hell is that?" he muttered. From the shadows emerged a figure, cloaked in darkness and moving with an eerie grace. It was a woman, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. She was dancing, her movements fluid and mesmerizing, yet filled with an underlying menace. "The Serbian dancing lady," Mia breathed, her eyes wide with both fear and fascination. The man with the knife backed away, his bravado faltering. "Stay back," he shouted, waving the knife defensively. The dancing lady continued her approach, her eyes never leaving the would-be kidnapper. Her dance seemed to weave through the very air, creating a sense of inevitability that paralyzed the man with fear. "Go away!" he screamed, slashing the air wildly. But she was relentless. With a final elegant spin, she closed the distance between them. The man stumbled back, tripping over his own feet and falling to the ground. "Please don't hurt me," he begged, scrambling backwards. The Serbian dancing lady took a knife behind her with a slow, deliberate motion. Her gaze was cold, unforgiving. Mia and Alex watched in stunned silence as the spectral figure loomed over the trembling man. With a swift, almost tender motion, she plunged the knife into his chest. He gasped, his eyes widening in shock before the life drained out of them. The alley fell silent once more, the only sound the distant hum of the city. The dancing lady turned to Mia and Alex, her expression unreadable. For a moment, they thought she might come after them next, but instead she simply nodded, as if acknowledging their presence. "Thank you," Mia managed to whisper, her voice shaking. The Serbian dancing lady inclined her head slightly, then faded back into the shadows, the haunting melody dissipating into the night. Mia and Alex stood there for a moment, trying to process what had just happened. Finally, Alex broke the silence. "We need to get out of here," he said, his voice hushed. Mia nodded, and they quickly made their way out of the alley and back onto the main street. Their pace quickened as they put distance between themselves and the scene of the encounter. "Did that really just happen?" Alex asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. "I think so," Mia replied, her mind racing. "I've heard stories about her, but I never thought they were real." "Me neither, but she saved us." They walked the rest of the way in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. When they finally reached Mia's house, they went inside and locked the door behind them. The safety of home felt surreal after their brush with the supernatural. Sitting back on the couch, their snacks forgotten, they tried to resume their game. But the intensity of the night had shaken them both to their core. "Do you think we'll ever see her again?" Alex asked quietly. "I hope not," Mia replied. "Once was more than enough." As they sat there, the screen flashing in front of them, they knew they would never forget the night they encountered the Serbian dancing lady. The legend was real, and it had become a part of their reality in a way they could never have imagined. And somewhere in the shadows of the old European city, the Serbian dancing lady continued her eternal dance, a guardian against those who preyed on the innocent, her story blending into the fabric of the night.